12 WSFA Montgomery. From Alabama's News Center, this is WSFA News 12, the 10 o'clock report.
Good evening, I'm Bob Howell.
And I'm Gina Gregory. A Montgomery Circuit Court jury is continuing to hear testimony tonight in the triple murder trial of Quang Bui, the Vietnamese refugee accused of killing his 3 children back in February. Shed Johnson has the latest on tonight's testimony.
Defense attorneys appear to be showing a pattern where relatives and friends of Bui's wife, Jenny, were trying to push the Vietnamese refugee either into jail or to a divorce. Lawyers questioned one witness who repeatedly took the Fifth Amendment when asked whether he loaned Mrs. Bui several $100s to purchase drugs so they could be planted on her husband. State ABI agent J.T. Ward testified that when Bui was arrested on marijuana charges almost 2 years ago, an investigation showed Bui had been set up by his wife's friends. Defense lawyers also questioned Bui's former employer, Don Thompson, who testified that Bui was a good worker, but admitted under cross-examination that at Christmas time last year, Bui showed signs of instability. Defense lawyers are now expected to call several witnesses to discuss Bui's cultural adaptation and mental condition. Testimony resumes at 9 a.m. Shed Johnson, WSFA News 12, Montgomery.
Montgomery police arrested a local man on charges of sexual abuse and sodomy. Department spokesman Larry Armstead says Otis Thornton had been under investigation for several weeks.
It had been brought to our attention that Mr. Ellis allegedly had sodomized and sexually abused a young female juvenile. Investigators started to work on and picked him up early this morning on those 2 charges, sodomy and sexual abuse first.
Bond for Thornton is set at $100,000, and police say they're also looking for 2 other suspects in that case, but no word yet on what, if any, charges will be filed against the pair.
Meanwhile, the Southern Poverty Law Center of Montgomery is representing the National Organization for Women in a lawsuit filed against 3 prominent anti-abortion activists. The president of NOW, Eleanor Schmiel, says the suit claims the 3 defendants are violating federal antitrust laws by inciting their followers to harass abortion clinics in an effort to force them out of business. In Washington today, Ms. Schmiel and Georgia Wild were talking about their lawsuit and describing incidents such as this in Wichita and also similar attacks in Pensacola, Florida. Heart transplant surgery is underway at this hour in Loma Linda Medical Center in Southern California, hopefully to save the life of a little 16-day-old baby known to the rest of the country as Baby Jessie. Here's more on the developments leading to tonight's operation.
It seemed almost too good to be true. This morning, while taping the Phil Donahue Show in New York, the parents of critically ill baby Jessie received a phone call from Butterworth Hospital in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
We are donating a heart to the baby in Loma Linda, California.
At a press conference in Michigan, Frank Clemenshaw and Deborah Walters announced they were donating the heart of their brain-dead baby.
It's hard losing a baby, but if he has a chance to let another baby live, I think part of him will live also.
Their child, Frank Edward Walters, was born 2 weeks ago. Before birth, oxygen was cut off to his brain. The brain-dead child was put on a private jet bound for Norton Air Force Base, just minutes from Loma Linda University Medical Center, where the transplant is to take place. At Huntington Memorial Hospital in Pasadena, baby Jessie was made ready, then put into a special ambulance to be transported about 60 miles. On his arrival at Loma Linda, nurses and technicians unloaded the incubator that carried the fragile infant. Inside, doctors were preparing for the operation that has been performed only a handful of times before.
It takes an hour or so to get ready, in a sense, in the operating room to do it. It takes about an hour, sometimes a little less, to actually do the transplant. It takes another couple of hours to get things back to a steady state, and we take as long as we need at that point to make sure the baby is suitable for transfer to the intensive care unit. One of the things that we've learned pleasantly from our initial experience is that there is no substitute for normal, and there's nothing like a normal heart to make a baby do well following surgery.
In Loma Linda, California, I'm Paul Gonzalez for NBC News.
We'll keep you posted on any late-breaking medical developments there in this newscast. Meanwhile, the Association of County Commissions endorses Charlie Graddick for governor.
And Willie Paul challenges the state school board election results. Stay with us.
Hey, fella.
Huh?
What are you doing?
Gonna go get some cash from...
Listen, I can give you your money and a chance to win instant cash with your bank's card at the right place.
But it isn't the right card.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, it's part of the Alert Network, isn't it?
Right.
Right. So use your bank's card at any First Alabama right place and be eligible to win up to $10,000 cash.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, I won! I should have used the right place in the first place.
Right. Play First Alabama's Right Place Sweepstakes now.
Planet.
Pack it.
Now you're cooking.
Let your fingers do the looking.
Ring, down through the ages. Ring, looking through the pages. Ring, look in the real yellow pages.
Shout it.
Sock it.
Now you got it.
South Central Bell. The real yellow pages. South Central Bell. The real yellow pages.
Years ago, $1 bought a lot more than it does today. The Southern Olds family brings back those days with the lowest GMAC finance rate ever. 5.9 annual percentage rate GMAC financing is your key to Oldsmobile's all-new Delta 88. Other finance rates are available and will be higher as length of finance contract increases. Also, 6.9 annual percentage rate GMAC financing on the hottest-selling Oldsmobiles means you drive the Oldsmobile you thought you couldn't afford. Take advantage of these special GMAC finance rates. Don't let this Southern Olds family opportunity pass you by.
Governor Wallace is going to appoint a task force to study liability insurance and tort reform. The Blue Ribbon panel will deal with the problem of increasing liability insurance costs for doctors, businesses, and government. The governor's executive order establishes an 11-member group to make recommendations to the next session of the legislature on the best solution to liability insurance and tort reform problems. The members should be named by the 1st of July. The task force is expected to solicit testimony from the public and experts on the topic.
Well, Charlie Graddick picked up a controversial endorsement today, an endorsement that has a number of county officials across the state up in arms. The endorsement came from the Association of County Commissions, more specifically, the group's executive board, and it is a first for the group.
The County Commission Association's board voted to endorse Charles Graddick, saying it believes Graddick would better represent the interests of county governments. But the endorsement may also be a reprisal for Lieutenant Governor Bill Baxley's fight to keep county governments from getting a percentage of the interest from last year's oil lease windfall.
The association members are well aware that Mr. Baxley did not support us in this particular issue. And yes, it did have an impact.
The association's board of directors voted on the endorsement yesterday. 9 of the 14 members voted to endorse Graddick. The rest abstained. Meanwhile, Montgomery County Commissioner John Knight is incensed over the move, saying he and several county commissioners he's spoken with were never consulted about the endorsement. Further, Knight questions the association making endorsements at all, since it gets its membership money from county revenues.
Especially since the association is funded by taxpayers' money. Montgomery County pays dues to the Association of County Commissioners. If they don't withdraw their endorsement, I'm going to ask the Montgomery County Commission to withdraw its association with the Association of County Commissioners in this state.
Knight wants the Graddick endorsement retracted and says if it isn't, he'll ask the association leadership to step down. Andrew Findlay, WSFA News 12, Montgomery.
Elsewhere on the campaign trail, Charlie Graddick continues to hit on his theme of business as usual with Baxley or progressive leadership with Graddick. In news conferences across the state, Graddick makes repeated attacks on Baxley and what he says are the lieutenant governor's strong ties to special interests and liberal policies. On the issue of race, Graddick says it's Baxley who continues to bring up the subject. Graddick says he's asking for the support of all Alabamians in the race. In the meantime, Bill Baxley is taking a more aggressive tone in his speeches and news conferences. Today, he spoke to the Girls State Convention here in Montgomery, telling the delegates that Graddick and his supporters are trying to paint him as a liberal and dependent on special interests to keep campaign issues away from the issues and side-by-side comparisons between the two men. Baxley repeated his call for voters to compare his 8 years as Attorney General with Graddick's 2 terms. As for the charge of being liberal, Baxley says he takes stands on the issues, and if that makes him a liberal, then so be it. Jim Folsom Jr. is going to debate his opponent in the lieutenant governor's race, John Teague, on public television Sunday night. Folsom had challenged Teague to first prove he's a working man, as Folsom put it, before he would consider the debate, but Teague refused, calling Folsom's demands ridiculous and irrelevant to the campaign. Folsom says he decided to go ahead with the debate anyway because he feels an obligation to the voters. Folsom has one victory under his belt. Tonight, he became the new president of the Southeastern Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners. Folsom won on a unanimous vote from representatives of the association. He had served as first vice president of the organization for the past 12 months.
State Treasurer candidate George Wallace Jr. hit the campaign trail in North Alabama today. Wallace says if he's elected, he'll fairly distribute the state's tax dollars between large and small banks across the state.
October 1. I will just very simply be sensitive to the needs of our small banks and our rural banks, if you will, the mom and pop operation throughout the state of Alabama. I've been told by these small bankers that not only does this help them broaden their economic base and tax base and attract small business and provide jobs, but it helps their farmers.
Wallace says he's the first treasurer's candidate in Alabama history to propose issuing an annual report showing where the state's tax dollars are deposited. The state Democratic Party must decide whether to hold a runoff election in the controversial State Board of Education race. Montgomery Head Start Director Willie Paul is contesting the results in the District 5 race, the only predominantly black school district in the state.
I think that the number of votes that one of the opponents received, who supposedly had been disqualified, that he received 10 or 11% of the votes. I think the people were upset because the Democratic Party said that they were going to discount those votes and just give the decision to that candidate that received the majority of the votes, minus those that the other opponent had. I think people were upset about that because they seem to think that there must be a better way.
Former Sumter County School Superintendent Hilton Ishii won that election, but only by 400 votes. Paul came in second in that race. A third candidate, Greene County School Superintendent William Kirksey, got 7,000 votes, but was disqualified earlier, and his votes weren't counted. Paul says he'll go along with whatever the Democratic Party decides. Well, Southern Baptists have a new president for their convention. He's the Reverend Andrea Rogers from Memphis, Tennessee. It was a controversial election that pitted fundamentalists against moderates. Rogers is a fundamentalist pastor, and now he holds the reins of the largest Protestant denomination in the United States.
Rogers received 21,201 of the 39,099 ballots cast. In a crush of cameras and well-wishers, he left the hall and will formally be presented to the convention this evening. Earlier, Reverend Nelson Price of Marietta nominated Rogers.
He is a candidate for peace and truth. And thank God, peace and truth can embrace.
Before the nominations began, outgoing two-term President Charles Stanley of Atlanta quieted the throng for prayer and meditation. Stanley then launched into what some saw as a defense of his fundamentalist presidency.
All of us, some 14 million of us, have the capacity under the leadership and the power of the Holy Spirit to be on the cutting edge of every area of American society in such a fashion that we would greatly influence the life of this nation to the glory of God.
Many of these messengers will now go back home. 2 days of resolutions and reports to the convention remain, but for the majority, they assured that the leadership of the Southern Baptist Convention will return to the man whose first term as president generally marks the beginning of fundamental dominance. Neil Craig for NBC News, Atlanta.
Rogers says he feels Baptists sharing his literalist view of the Bible make up 90% of the denomination. Rogers' moderate opponent for the presidency was the Reverend Winfred Moore of Amarillo, Texas.
Well, Troy State University at Dothan is getting ready to move out of its downtown Dothan location and onto a new campus somewhere in the city. Currently, Troy State University is housed primarily in this 9-story building, formerly the Houston Hotel. But university officials say a pattern of significant student enrollment increases make it necessary to find a new home. No one is saying where the new campus and facilities will be built. The university spokesman today said a consensus of its faculty, board of trustees, and business and community leaders is to relocate. The school plans a news conference in the near future to explain further.
Well, we got a nice cooling shower today, and Rich will tell us if any more rain is on the way next. Stay with us.
Have you always regretted not having a college education? Perhaps there was never enough time or money. With longer summer days and extra leisure hours, you can pursue that dream. Do something now that will improve your self-image and your lifestyle. At Troy State University in Montgomery, you can complete your education in the evening while you continue to work during the day. So join us for summer quarter. It's never too late to go to college. In fact, it's the only adult thing to do. TSUM summer quarter registration, June 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Hey, Vern, what you doing? A little lemonade? Get it? Lemon-aid? Vern, you spend more time fixing this old heap than you do driving it. Why don't you let Cobb Pontiac Cadillac put you behind the wheel of a brand new Pontiac? They are practically giving them away. Well, Vern, there's your problem right there. See that little wire right there next to your catastrophic converter? Looks like it's got a little oil in it. Vern, why don't you trade this old heap in on a Pontiac?
On the next MASH.
Dracula couldn't find a quick snack around these parts.
Colonel, you're either going to have to get us some blood or call off the war. We're doling it out by the corpuscle now.
The unit's bloodless and sleepless, but never humorless.
Pull down my mask. Frank? Thank you.
There's red-blooded comedy in a jugular vein on the next MASH.
Boy, Rich, I tell you, the clouds just moved in very quickly, and all of a sudden, they opened up.
And there was a flood in a few minutes.
I was outside walking around.
Yeah, you know, we've had a few more showers around than we normally expect on a summertime day. And if you're wondering if that's going to continue at least for the next couple of days, we're going to be seeing more showers than usual on the summer situation. Let's take a look at what it's doing at 10 o'clock out at Danley Field. 78 degrees now. Wind is out of the west at 9 with humidity at 85%. Dew point temperature 73, barometer steady. And the updated rainfall figure now about 0.8 of an inch of rain out at Danley Field the past 24 hours. Well, here's the latest situation. National weather map. High pressure over the southeastern U.S., but little disturbances in the upper atmosphere have kept the atmosphere stirred up, if you will, rather turbulent. So we have a quiet early morning situation. In fact, it was sunny early this morning, and then the clouds develop quickly, and then we see showers and thunderstorms. And yes, that should be the situation again tomorrow. Still warm and humid. And it looks like we're not going to get a break from this situation for a couple of days. Out in the central U.S., there is an area of heavy thunderstorms tonight ahead of this frontal system that is edging on to the east. And as we show you the radar chart tonight, you see a lot of reds and oranges out there where thunderstorms have been very active. Lots of hail tonight, even reports of tornado touchdowns for the second night in a row. Particularly hard hit the states of Kansas, Oklahoma, and north central Texas. Notice over the southeast now, we're not seeing as many yellows and reds as we were seeing earlier now as the evening showers start to die down and gradually fade away. Weather map for Thursday shows that the frontal system out in the plain states will begin to edge towards the east, although our weather will be unchanged over this part of the country. Again, sunny in the early morning hours and becoming partly cloudy in the afternoon with a few thunderstorms. That's going to be the pattern for at least a couple of more days to come. The tropical situation, first let's look at the southeast satellite. We're seeing the clouds still remaining over Alabama with a few light showers that I'll show you in a moment on the radar. In the tropics tonight, we're seeing a very quiet situation for the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico after kind of an active week last week. That's okay because we got a long season to go. And the national high temperature forecast for this for tomorrow shows 90s through the southeast and much of the southern tier of the U.S. and back through the interior of the west. Northern Maine is the place to be. They're going to be in the 60s tomorrow. Now color radar scanning from Centerville. And the radar's playing tricks on us. Some of this is false echoes, but I will point out what is rain. Light showers now from northeast of Alex City right down through through just south of Montgomery, a few light showers. These are false echoes. That's not heavy thunderstorms there. All the remaining showers moving to the northeast slowly. Temperatures now, as of 10 o'clock, ranging from 73 in Huntsville, still 82, though, in Enterprise, and out of Denley Field, 78 degrees, and the skies are partly cloudy. Today's high in Montgomery, 86. This morning's low, 74. Normal high, 89. The normal low, 67. Sunrise tomorrow, 5:38. Setting tomorrow evening at 7:52. For tonight and for tomorrow night, there will be a few widely scattered evening showers. Most of them have died out now for tonight, low around 72. For Wednesday and Thursday, warm and humid with a 30% chance of afternoon thunderstorms and an afternoon high around 92 for both days, perhaps a bit warmer on Thursday. Friday and Saturday, not much change, warm and humid with scattered mainly afternoon thunderstorms. Still, daytime highs way up in the 90s, nighttime lows in the 70s, Gina. So,
still
uncomfortable.
sort of steam bathy.
Steam is the word.
Yeah.
Steam heat. Right. Great song, right? You remember that? Okay, pressing on to the sports department. Some money is going to change hands from players to the commissioner in the NBA.
Some players are going to pay the fiddler, I guess, or whatever. The gavel.
Fight promoter, who knows?
True, true. We'll talk about that and much more coming up.
I've been out looking all over the local car lots, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of new cars and trucks in dealer inventories. Now I have to do this to make sure that Southern States Ford has the maximum saving deal for you. That means the lowest cash price, and if you finance, that means the lowest down payment, as low as 5% of the price if you got the credit, and the lowest finance rates. We always try to stay lower than the factory incentives. You might say, we'll go to any heights to make sure you get the maximum saving deal at Southern States Ford, because we're dealing.
Southern States Ford, 2 great locations, Montgomery.
This week, Curtis Mathis is having a tent sale. Let me give you some idea of what to expect. Confetti, hats, balloons, and of course it's happening at Curtis Mathis. But what's really important are the unbeatable values on the complete line of Curtis Mathis products, all backed by the exclusive Curtis Mathis 4-year warranty. So now you know what to expect. What are you waiting for? Oh, an address might help.
Gaffer salutes the greatest American dad.
Like my dad. And your dad, too.
Choose from a super selection of Royal Night shirts and shorts at just $11.99 each. Save on plaid shirts and walk shorts, sporty tennis shirts and tennis shorts, or fashion knit shirts with comfortable knockabout shorts. Just $11.99 buys Dad a great gift from Gaffer's.
Save with Gaffer salute to the greatest American dad. Now at all Gaffer stores.
Happy Father's Day, Dad.
$1.83 a month. That's all I pay for my central bank checking account. It's called Checker. I can bank at any branch all over Alabama, and they're even open on Saturday with real live human bankers. All this for only $1.83 a month. Isn't it time you switched to Central?
Isn't it time you switch to Central? Switch to Central Bank.
Game 5 of the just-ended NBA Championship Series got a little out of hand. So today, a few of the Houston Rockets and Boston Celtics were told to hand over some money. Today, NBA Vice President of Operations Rod Thorne announced that Houston Rockets forward Ralph Sampson has been fined $5,000 for his part in his second quarter bench-clearing brawl in Game 5. Thorne also docked Boston guards Jerry Seasting and Dennis Johnson and Houston center Akeem Olajuwon to the tune of $1,500 apiece. 13 other players, 7 Celtics and 6 Rockets, were all fined $500 apiece for leaving their benches during the fight. In all, the fines total some $16,000. But I don't think the Boston Celtics had their minds on any fines today. They were too busy celebrating their 16th NBA championship. And they were joined by a few of their fellow Bostonians. In all, about 1 million, in fact. The city turned out for Celtics Pride Day. The fans jammed into downtown Boston to see and hear their NBA champion Celtics.
I've been here many times. I loved every minute of it, but this year was the sweetest. Celtic Pride. There's where it is, right out there. Akeem Olajuwon never heard of Celtic tradition. I bet he had some sleepless nights in the past couple of days. This one's sweet this year, and the players and the organization would definitely like to thank the fans because we were just unbeatable at home. It's because of you all. Thank you very much.
Some Major League Baseball news away from the playing field. Today, A. Bartlett Giamatti, the outgoing president of Yale University, was named as the next president of the National League. Giamatti will assume his new job September the 1st upon the retirement of current league president Chub Feeney. At a press conference in New York today, Giamatti was asked if there are any changes he plans to make.
I think in general one tampers with baseball as little as humanly possible. It seems to me not that one doesn't try to make sure that the rules and the safety, the entertainment, and the enjoyment are up to date, but that the fundamental grid, the fundamental geometric beauty, the fundamental structure of the game, as history brings it to you, refined as it is, ought to be tampered with very, very, very gingerly.
Okay, on the Major League playing field, the New York Yankees went looking to gain more ground on the East Division leading Boston Red Sox tonight. They're still looking. Top of the 4th inning now. Score tied 1-1. New York's Mike Easler drives one deep to left. Dave Collins is going to play it off the wall, bounces way past him there. Dave Winfield is going to go around, and he's going to beat the throw home barely, putting the Yankees up 2-1. Then in the top of the 5th, New York's Ken Griffey grounds one to Alan Trammell. Trammell throws home, but Dave Winfield not only knocks the ball, but he knocks a glove out of Lance Parrish's hand. 6-1 Yankees at that point. That is where they stand after 6. Elsewhere, it was Cleveland nipping Oakland. Boston passed Toronto in 10 innings. Chicago leads California after 6. Seattle up 1-0 on Kansas City in the 1st. Texas and Minnesota tied at 5 apiece in the 5th. Milwaukee doubles up Baltimore 6-3. In the National League, in the 9th, New York and Philadelphia tied at 4 apiece. Pittsburgh down Chicago tonight 6-4. Montreal over St. Louis 4-2. After 3 innings, Houston is blanking San Diego 3-0. Cincinnati and Los Angeles scoreless after 1. And San Francisco leads Atlanta 1-0. That game now in the 2nd. Zane Smith characteristically has some problems in early innings. He's having problems tonight. 1-0 Giants. The National Football League and the United States Football League haven't agreed on too many things over the past few years, but at the moment, the two leagues find themselves on the same side of the fence in one respect. Both leagues deny that there will be any out-of-court settlement in the USFL's antitrust lawsuit against the NFL. A report emanating from an Orlando, Florida newspaper claims that NFL owners have offered to pay USFL teams $20 million each and offered franchises to 6 of the 8 USFL clubs. The report is strongly denied by both leagues. Argentina and Italy both advanced to the 2nd round of the World Cup Soccer Championship today. Argentina shut out Bulgaria 2-0. The Italian squad defeated South Korea 3-2. Finally, after a 10-week disciplinary suspension, Jimmy Connors is back on the men's tennis tour. Today, Jimmy was victorious in his opening round match at the Queen's Club event in London, downing Michael Shapers 6-1, 6-2. The Men's International Pro Tennis Council fined Connors a record $25,000 and suspended him for 10 weeks for walking off the court during a match this past February. Following his win today, Connors took a jab at the council, saying he enjoyed being away from the people, trying to make tennis, quote, a non-democracy style event. So I guess so much for questions about whether Jimmy's still harboring any grudge, right?
Yeah, but it's amazing he made it back in time for Wimbledon. Right on schedule. Yep. Need some entertainment over there.
Definitely.
We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. We'll talk about future farmers.
Reducing's not easy. But now, reducing your monthly car payment's a piece of cake. Cake! Thanks to the factory-backed Subaru reduced payment method. No other plan gives you monthly payments as sweet as these. So you can own any Subaru you want for peanuts. Come see why reducing your payments like taking candy from a baby. Baby. At your Subaru All-Stars. Hurry by and lick high payments.
Well, our future agricultural leaders gathered in Montgomery for the opening of the 50th Alabama Future Farmers of America Convention. This year's theme is FFA, Leaders for New Fields of Agriculture. More than 200 incentive awards will be presented to members by both state and national FFA foundations, and 711 members will receive state farm degrees for occupational and leadership achievements. That convention continues through Thursday. And it's an opportunity for the folks here in Montgomery to get a chance to say job well done to some great young men and women from across the state of Alabama. So that is it for tonight's 10 o'clock report. Thank you for watching. For all of us here, for the sports department, the weather, news, thanks for watching The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He's coming up next.